And welcome to Value Raters Class Act here live on YouTube. And if you're watching this on catch up, where have you been? 7 o'clock every Thursday, I'm going to be here looking at the racing on the Friday and hopefully identifying some value. We're not going to be looking at short price horses. We're only going to be looking for horses that are actually going to get us into the weekend and hopefully make us a few quid. How does that sound? Good? Right, well, before we get started, I just would like you to do one thing for me. Yeah, just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. If everyone watching, if you could hit this like button, thumbs up, that'd be great. That just tells YouTube that you appreciate the content that you're watching. It's really helpful. And also the subscribe. Obviously, if you're not watching this live and you're on catch up, by pressing the subscribe button, I didn't want to do that. By hitting the subscribe button next to the subscribe button, you'll see a little bell. If you click on that and you press all, what that'll do is every time we're about to go live or there's any video content, it will basically let you know and give you a notification. So it's a real handy thing to do. And during the broadcast, you might hear me talking about the description box. Well, this is down here. And after the broadcast, you might want to go and have a look in here. There's a few links and various things that I will be talking about. So good. Now, I think we'll get on to it. I think we're going to go straight over. And of course, we're racing at Epsom on Friday. Of course, I think what we'll do is we'll remove me. Can people hear me? If someone can just write us a comment, that would be helpful. Okay, I think you can hear me. That's good. That's a good start. Hi guys, persevere at the Derby meeting and Parkland Classic. Just someone, can you? We've just had a message come through. Yes, I can hear you. Sorry about that. There's actually a live delay, so I had to wait 20 seconds for you to say. So great. We're seeing some comments coming in, so everyone can hear me loud and clear. Right, before we get into it tonight, there's lots of places you can go and get various form. You know, the Racing Post is such one, and to be honest, the Racing Post was one I used for many years and still do, to be honest, as well as lots of other form angles. About this time last year, if you remember that dreadful lockdown that we had, I had quite a bit of time on my hands and I looked into this GG's Gold, which I'll be showing you tonight as part of the presentation. And, well, I'm very impressed with the whole setup. It really is fantastic. After the show, if you like what you see, you can go, and again, it'll be in the description box. There's a link in there. You can actually try this for 30 days for £1 GG's Gold. I couldn't recommend it highly enough, and you're about to see why. Basically, GG's, I think I'm right in saying, they pull all their data actually from the Racing Post, but what GG's do with it, they do a lot more with it, and you're about to see. And since I've been using it in the last year, it really has transformed the way I do things, and it's actually, I wouldn't like to say that it's actually saved me any time. It's enabled me actually to look at more races. So do have a look at that afterwards. So we're going to be at Epsom Now, the first port of call I always do, even though I've been doing this for many, many years, is I always familiarize myself with the track. Bear with it as it loads, just so, because we're on a live stream, when it will load a different page. We have got a slight delay here. First port of call is I will always go to the course layout, which is obviously here. Now, this is Epsom. Sometimes when you watch racing on the TV, you just, even though you've got an idea of what the track might look like. And now, if you look at this, if you've been to Blackpool Pleasure Beach and you've seen those roller coasters around there, it looks more like that. And you can see why Epsom is such a unique test. You can particularly see here from the middle distance, mile and a half kind of starts. You can see why the likes of the Derby and the Oaks, what a test it is of actually stamina, uphill here. And then obviously you need a well-balanced horse. You've got obviously this camber into the home straight. And there's just something here, people might not be aware of, but just at the bottom here of the camp, they then rise. So they're uphill again. I think it's about half a furlong out, they're uprising there again. So the first port of call would always be for me just to familiarize myself. And it's amazing by doing that, when it comes to actually form reading, you can have that in your head. So there's two races I'm interested in. I've got to say, let's get the excuses out the way first. Epsom would not be my favourite place to bet. In fact, I remember my bookmaker, my old boss from many years ago, telling me if there was one thing to do, he's never ever bet at Epsom and never ever bet at likes of Goodwood, Brighton. And you can see why, because of the track. So I'm quite ruthless in my approach to finding winners if I'm going to have get involved. And I was limited with options because, first and foremost, because the track is laid out like it is, I want to ensure that the horse will handle the track. I must see proven form at the track. Now, the first race I want to have a look at is this 3:45. Once it loads up here, and as we can see, it is over 1 mile and 2 furlongs, mile and a quarter. The call in the ground at the moment at Epsom, good to firm in places. But if I can just show you the map here over at the Met Office. Now, obviously taking trust to what the racecourses are telling you, I would also always use the Met Office to have a look what's actually happened. Of course, it's not an exact science, just like horse racing, they can get it kind of wrong, but it does give us a little bit of film. We can see here they are expecting some light showers in the morning, possibly 30%, 40% kind of chance, and then heavy rain, light rain between 11 and 12. So I'm going to do my workings out on good ground for the meeting there tomorrow, and hope that they don't get too much. I don't think it's going to affect the ground. If anything, looking at the temperatures, it might end up good to firm in places. Now, the horse I'm interested in here is actually Victory Chime here of Mr. Beckett. Before we do that, let me just go to this pace tab, which I should have mentioned. Now, before I'd even look at a race, I'm in here. I've got pace predictions here. Gigi's Magic will let me know a lot here. Possible contested speed. What Gigi's does for me, it will, on the average of last runs, you can actually pick it. It can be 2, 3, or 4 runs. I actually pick the last 4 runs. It takes the average of every run to then try and predict where the pace is going to be. It really is a fantastic toolkit, this. And as we can see, it looks like there's going to be pace on Sky Defender, Victory Chimer we'll talk about, who I fancy at the moment, and even down here. So there's going to be plenty of pace in the race. If there is no pace in the race, if it comes up here and said maybe falsely run, I wouldn't even look any further. It's really important to find that we're going to make sure, ideally, I like to find races with an even pace. That would be the best scenario, but contested speed, at least they know there's going to be a good gallop here. So let's go back to the Victory Chime. Let's go to his recent form here. Course form. Really important. Well, he's got that because he's won here last time. In this class, it was a class 2 race, so we know he's got the class for the race, and he's won throughout start, pushed along, chased leader early, led over 1 furlong, pushed along, ridden under 2 furlong, and ran on. And interestingly, he beat Sky Defender, who obviously runs in this race also and is slightly better off at the weight. I just got the impression from watching the run back at Epsom that I thought he did it a little bit cozy, to be honest, Victory Chime. He was a horse I had on my radar actually last year, just before he had this run down at Sandown. I identified him. I do some private handicapping and identified the horse. I thought this horse has got to be seriously well treated. And of course, on the day that I've got involved here at Sandown, he's got beat by Data Protection, who also runs in this race. If you believe lap form, it would suggest at the weights that he has no chance against Data Protection. But for me, the horse, what we've seen recently, is he's left this form well behind for me. After that Sandown run, interestingly, where he did look like he didn't have his mind fully on the job, the visor went on the time after. But interestingly, the last 2 runs, which have both been this year, the visor has been removed. And I must admit, the horse does look more straightforward than before. I just think there's a lot to recommend him. You know, we even look into the Jockeys Form, another great tool here. You know, on the jockey, I could get all the stats. The jockey, we can see that the jockey 26% strike rate in the last 14 days. And I'm really keen on this angle. You know, the trainer jockey combo over the last year. Now, this is probably a bad example to use only because Rob Hornby obviously rides a lot for Mr. Beckett. He's had 137 rides, as you can see. You know, it's a great combination when they get together. I suppose slight negative for me. The course, the jockey, he hasn't ridden a winner in the 15 goes that he's had at the track plate. Very minor, I would say. That would put me off. It wouldn't stop me around the prices that he's likely to be. This is what really interests me. The trainer form. Mr. Beckett is in really fine fettle at the moment. Look at that. Last 14 days, 25% have won, 50%. But more interestingly down, look at this. Course 1 year form. He's had 5 runners, 2 wins, 3 places, 40% strike rate, 60% safe, and he's even done that over 5 years. So there's a lot here to recommend that we should get a good run. Let's just have a look at the draw. Draw is important at some tracks and some distance. And again, GG's at the click of a button lets me know this information. As we can see, what are we showing? Probably you don't want to be drawn low. We can see that only 5% win. Really, we're telling really middle or high is going to be in favour. So what have we got here? We'll go back to the pace angle here. So Victory Chime, there we are. Well, he's in the middle. He's well drawn. He's prominent. Interesting that Sky Defender in here as well. He was another one that I was considering with the weight pool. He's obviously got lots of winning form at this track as well. I don't know. One thing that did strike me, if we go over to Instant Expert, more great data here for us. When I first looked at this race, what struck me straight away, if we look at the ratings on this side, it shows us the official rating the horse will be running off tomorrow, which is Friday if you're watching this a little bit later, and its last winning official mark. So we can see here, apart from Lawn Ranger, who I just wouldn't trust anyway, every horse really needs a personal best. So this race does not scream to me that we're going to find a horse in this race that's going to have bundles in hand. You know, they look pretty much as they are. Now, back to this Instant Expert. As I said, personally, it's only my opinion. I'm not interested in backing any horses that have not got any course form at this track. We can see Sky Defender and Victory Chime, who I'm favouring here, clearly have. These two here, they actually ran in the Sky Defender and Victory Chime race. They were actually unplaced. Blue Cup, he's going to be over betting this race just because he was a little, it looks like when he ran in the race that he was a little bit unlucky. But unlucky horses that are now favourite, I look elsewhere to that. And data protection, no, I'm not sure about. He is a horses for courses kind of angle here. But basically, with Gigi's traffic light system, really, it tells you that, the go-in. You can even narrow it down. So on the go-in, victory chime, we know he's won 5 times. There's a 50% strike. Well, we know certainly he's going to go on the ground. You can even click on that, and it would show you all of the good ground runs, and it will even show you over here. It will show you how the form's worked out going forward. Basically, we've had nine runs from this, 11 have won, and 22%. And I use this as a very quick guide, really. So if I'm starting to see figures of a win rate above 10%, horses that I will look more in depth into their form. And obviously I don't want to be here all night, so I'm not going to do that. But I hope you get the gist that I thought victory chime here. Now, odds wise, I'll just flick the odds on. When I'm doing a race, I never ever look at the odds before, because it's surprising how it can influence you. So I prefer not. Apologies again. It was just, as we just load this up. So we should have some odds now, which should be great, so we can see. So victory chime, he's actually trading, he's on the high street at the moment around the 6-1 mark. Please do shop around, because victory chime, look at these bookmakers here playing 4 places. If you can get the 4 places, go and get it. It's a fantastic concession. It really is. Go and get it. And even if it means you have to open up a different account, do it. But 4 places for me. I thought everything, all the ticks are there. Yes, he's going to have to shoulder 9-8. There is a slight thing in the back of your mind. You say to yourself, well, he's vulnerable to anything better handicapped kind of down here. But they've got to prove they go on the track. And that's a huge thing for me. I mean, how do you price that up? How do you price up a horse to work out if you're going to handle the track of that? And I just think it's really important that I don't like guessing. And what Gigi's is great for, Gigi's Gold, it stops you guessing. It will give you reasons to think, actually, I'm going to leave that alone. And it makes you make better betting decisions. So, yeah, I thought in that race, I thought victory chime. I think I've basically covered that. Again, if it interests you after the show, then there's a link in the description box where you can go and try it for £1. I've got to tell you, I've been race reading for years, and I'm a huge fan. I was very late to the party. I don't know where I'd been, but it's great stuff. It really is. So good. So that's a start. We've got one more race that we need to look at, which is actually the last race at Epsom. But before that, obviously, people may know what Value Rate is all about. Hopefully that you've seen our branding on the store and starting stores of the brand awareness exercise last year. But if you don't know, there's a very short video which explains all.
The Value Rater Racing Club is here to provide relevant information to horse racing enthusiasts. I just think racing journalism was starting to lack opinion. I wanted to create something that would get people into the racing community. The great thing about this racing club, there is absolutely no cost. We have some of the best journalists in the business. Steve Jones from Racing TV, Andy Ayres with his paddock notes from the Sun newspaper, Ian Hedman, the all-weather and 2-year-old guru. You've got nothing to lose, so sign up for free today.
Good. I just want to quickly go back to that free 45 race, because there's a couple of things that I've, first time being live and everything, there's a couple of things really important that I need to point out to you. So let me just bring it back up for you here. Okay, so we know about the Epsom form. He handles that. This Pontefract run, which was the horse's first run. Okay, he was beaten 6 3/4 lengths. This form has actually worked out pretty well. I mean, the winner of this race went on to win a Group 3 race. The second horse of Mick Channon's was in the race. She went on. She was tried in listed class, even though she only had a mark of 82. They obviously fancy a bit of black type with her, so I imagine she might be better than that. But that form was all right. And even if we look at the Kempton form, Johnny Drama, again, on the evening, it was only a Class 2 race, but the winner did go on to win a lot of races afterwards, including listed class. So before this win at Epsom, the 2 runs here, I just think, the horse has been unlucky to be bumping into really horses that aren't really handicappers. They are a little bit better than that. Sorry, I should have mentioned that before. Okay, let's look at the 540 at Epsom on GG's Gold here, running over 7 furlongs. I've got to be honest, I was struggling a little bit to have any strong view, and this one's a little bit, and at the price of it might be worth just having a small investment. But first of all, let's just get into the habit of checking. Right, again, we've got probably loan speed, probably contested pace. We've got a bit of pace on. And interesting here, look at this. Now up here, this tells us run stars. Now, actually, look at that for a strike rate. Clearly over 7 furlongs, you want to be leading. Look at that, a 26%. All in the green, 5%, 7%. Look at that. Good profit as well, £21.50 to the pound for leaders. So there's obviously a clear bias for that on good ground here, which is really interesting. That's what I just love about this GG's Gold. It just tells you so much. Right, which horse am I want to talk about? It's the one that Josephine Gordon rides. William Jarvis. Now, this horse, at the beginning of the last flat season, in fact, this is probably, I need to probably bring up some form to get it, or will I get it in here? Okay. As you can see, at the beginning of last year was an interrupted season, obviously. Came out first time out and was beaten in a Class 4 event. Obviously improved for that, and look, won twice afterwards. After that, the horse rather got tailed off. I just thought it was really interesting that after this 197-day break, he's come out, might have just needed that. They might just be campaigning this horse similar to they did before. And more interestingly, if you look at the last winning handicap mark that it won, it's running off either, I think it's the same or similar. It's obviously dropped in the weights because of these runs. It's actually dropped down now to a mark the horse can win off. If we look at the draw for the 7 furlongs, it's a pretty flat line, really. This is indicating to us that really there isn't much. They seem to be, doesn't seem to be much of a bias, but all we do know is that if you remember going back at the pace, we do know to lead. The reason this horse is a little bit, we've got to be careful when we're considering whether we want to get involved with the horse. It can be keen, and she's out in 10. I'd like her to lead if she can. It's whether the horse has got, I know the horse has got enough pace, but it's whether it's going to light the horse up. But more interestingly, again, course form is so important, and we know if we go to Inset Expert, we can check here. It's so important. Look, 4 runs, and it's 1 on the track. So we know that the horse acts. I just thought at 12 to 1, there is risks attached, just because the horse is a little bit keen. But for the reasons I've said, you know, the horse has dropped down in the weight and a return to the form, and it's, you know, the horse has got the class as well. If we look at the class section here, class 2, 6 runs and 1 on it. So it's got the class. It goes on the track. It goes on the ground. I think even if it turned out to be good to firm in place, or even good to firm, it wouldn't be a problem. But more to the point, if we look at it, and I'll say it again, look at all these horses. Nothing's got any course form whatsoever. Count Otto. I looked at him. He's not without interest in here, but I just preferred. He's creeping up the weights. He had a good time on the all-weather Count Otto in the winter. He wasn't given a great ride last time by William Buick. Very quiet ride, I thought. I don't know. I just thought from a handicap point of view, yeah, that'd do for me. Arigato. I just thought, but just go steady if you want to, you know, if you want to get involved in that. Josephine Gordon, she wouldn't be everyone's favourite. She wouldn't be my number 1 to go to, but if we look at the prices at 12 to 1, again, 4 places. You know, if you can get these 4 places, you know, there's certain things you're going to hear me repeat on here. And this is one that you need to get the 4 places if you can. There's plenty of them. Sky Bet, Paddy Power. Yeah, you need to go and get the 12 places if you want to get involved. This is one. Personally, I'm probably going to have something on myself because of the price and because of it's a bit of a hunch. That one. It's interesting. What you can say, I mean, perhaps I was a bit mean then about Josephine Gordon. She's won on the horse plenty. She knows the horse well, which is going to be important. I don't know. I just prefer a slightly big, but then it's factored into the price, you know, at 12 to 1. So there are a couple of horses to perhaps look at tomorrow. Well, there we are. I've been on here. I hope you've enjoyed the little bit of insight. Again, please do, in the description box after here, go over to Gigi's and have a look. Don't be thinking, oh, I don't know what to do, it all looks a bit overwhelming. If you do sign up for the 30 days for £1, what they'll do for you is I'll hold your hand. Basically, they will send you lots of videos and they will tell you how it's all done. Take the time with it. I did. And honestly, it will make you make better decisions. And sometimes with racing, we all love a winner. But there's also a lot of satisfaction in watching a race when you've decided that you're not going to play because of some of these factors we've talked about, and you see the get a horse beat. And there's a lot of elation in that, to know you've actually saved money too, and making right decisions. Don't get me wrong. Some horses, of course, will win when they haven't got the course form and all of these things. But personally, I want to be ticking every single box with the punting. I hope you enjoyed the first live stream. As I said, we're going to be here every week. It'll take me a little bit of time to get bedded in. And I hope to see you next week at the same time, 7 o'clock. And I'll just say, cheerio.